back to the Between Two IV podcast. I am Dr. Joe Gill, aka Just Joe, and this is Chief Kevin Leverts,
Howdy.
aka Just Kevin. Welcome back.
Thanks. Glad to be here, man. I really appreciate it.
I got a question for you.
Okay, hit me.
Elephant in the room. Why do you hate EMS?
Oh, man. Well, I don't know that I hate
So you went
EMS.
from an assistant chief of EMS to assistant fire chief. Tongue in cheek there, but tell me about that. How's that role been? And
Well, it was a promotion.
yeah,
It was a promotion, so
so you think fire is better than EMS?
got it right out of the gate. No, no. I had bigger opportunities to make a greater impact, and that's kind of been my path all along professionally. Is I wanted to make a difference for somebody, and as I did that, young firefighter, paramedic, and I'm helping take care of people and having those experiences. That's what got me into teaching in the paramedic program was, well, if I can affect one person as me, what if I go make 2 or 3 other people better, and then they can better impact somebody? And then that came into advancements and promotions, and that's how I reconcile not being the one with hands on a patient, which I love to do, by the way.
I know you do. So for the listeners out there, totally a joke. He's totally EMS. But Kevin, I do want to brings up a talking about I've been through, and I'm sure you've been through, is for the listeners out there, how do you do with coming into a new role? Your identity yourself, you were an EMS chief forever, and this may not be crazy. You're still part of the same mission and doing it in the area with potentially even greater impact and growth. But that's hard, right? You're leaving, and who am I? What am I leaving? And how do you continue to keep the good parts of your mission and what you're passionate about as you continue to grow in life? And how is that okay? Like, how do it's a loss of your former self. Like, I'm no longer, you were a Marine first. I'm no longer a Marine. Then you were a firefighter in Chicago. No longer a firefighter. Then you were multiple EMS chiefs down here in the Houston area. And so each time, right, that's hard.
It is. This last one was the hardest one. Okay. Going from the EMS chief to being in charge of operations for the fire department was the hardest one. Because being an EMS chief is kind of what I had aspired to professionally through all of it. So I kind of had this clear point that I was working towards, and this thing I wanted to achieve. And the medicine, for me, it comes easy. Like, the science is very interesting. I understand it well, and it's just, and I love it. So I gravitate towards it. So it's always been kind of easy to have that comfort, no matter where I was doing it or what level I was doing it. That was comfortable. That was home base. So to take this last one and now be in charge of operations and be kind of separated from direct involvement with all our clinical stuff, that was the hardest one, especially as you talk about identity. I spent a lot of time wrestling with the idea of what have I done? What kind of problems have I gotten myself into, and what a mistake is this? Because that's a lot of pressure, right? My wife and I have this fun expression that we started to adopt of, like, because for some reason, she and I get promoted at the same time.
Oh, that's cool.
So in our house, we're both having this same kind of
power couple
relearning. And so in this last one, we joked about how the first year in a position is hard for me. But the second year when I'm in my position, it's hard for everybody else. Now I know what I'm doing. Now I get to kind of exert the influence that I'm going for. And we've kind of crossed that threshold. I'm about 15 or 16 months into this position. And that first year was absolutely difficult with imposter syndrome. I was very vulnerable with my team I have a profound fear that I'm not the one to provide the support and the resource and the direction that you need to be successful. And that was, being vulnerable enough to share it helped. Because, man, it was a lot of words, rambling on. A lot of transition.
Imposter syndrome is pretty real.
It's
you
real.
and I, not exactly the same story, but similar, coming up through the ranks. You were in the military, then started out as a firefighter. I was a tech, nurse, went to med school. All right. Welcome back to Between Two IVs. I'm Joe. This is Kevin.
Hi.
Local EMS doc and local fire chief.
Assistant to the fire chief.
Assistant to the regional manager. Anyways, welcome back. So we were talking about imposter syndrome earlier.
Yeah.
And you've had, obviously, a huge new role. You've stepped into being assistant fire chief of EMS. traditionally you were on the EMS side, same mission, different title. How's that been?
It's been a challenge. Like we were talking about, the medicine is very comfortable for me, very familiar, comes very easy. And this position was a big step. I don't want to say a big step away from it. I still have responsibility for it. I'm just not the EMS chief anymore. I supervise the EMS chief. So I'm another step removed. And the rest of the stuff around it is more work than the medicine is.
So you don't hate EMS?
I don't hate EMS.
Yeah.
I hate some things. We can talk about some of those things that cause stress, right?
No, you've always been a great clinician, and I'm sure that's a challenge, right? Stepping further and further away from the clinical realm. And your mission's still the same as one, patient outcomes, and two, your staff. How do you deal with that? Not just the imposter syndrome, but that gratification of going home and saying, hey, I put my hands on a patient and I did something today, as opposed to I felt like I pushed papers and meetings. Although the work is important, it's just not as gratifying.
It takes me getting out to see it. I got to get out and be around people and see them do things. It's very fulfilling that something I did leads to somebody else's success. I love that. I love being able to enable and build up our people. And that doesn't happen from the desk. And I have those times where I get frustrated and run on the ground and kind of exhausted. We're in budget season. To talk about some exhausting work and challenging navigating. And that's what it takes is going out and not even just like the big ones, not just I'm going to make a peri-arrest call that's going to take some awesome resuscitation, or let's get this guy some blood. I'll go out on the simple ones, like the simple seizure, post-ictal, and this crew is just there providing good support to the family, good assessment on this patient, making sure things are good. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. So it's not just when it's high stakes time, like the low stakes ones matter too. And I like seeing that. That's what it takes for me to remember that I make an impact and that things I do matter is going out and seeing, I guess where the decision impacts the impact zone. There we go. So I can make all these decisions from the desk all day long, but if I don't go see the people that are actually affected by the decisions, then that's what keeps me calibrated and making decisions, keeps me grounded as a human being. It'd be real easy to write this policy and fire it off, but there's people at the other end of that. So.
Agreed. As a med director, I say that all the time. It'd be easy. It is easy for me to write the guidelines. I know the science, but I don't know what's working and not working if I don't get out there. And it can't be every sexy 911 call, cardiac arrest, trauma. Our meat and potatoes are everyday complaints, everyday concerns, and being out there in the meat and potatoes. And so I can't tell you how many times where our intubation success rate's not good. I go out there, new stylets are in, they're horrible, or copy and paste it to attorney. But if you're not out there, and I'm sure you agree that that's our fun part. We love being out there with the crews.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time. But to advocate for the crews takes a lot of behind the scenes work. I was thinking, as we're talking, one of the things that's been on my mind is DOA calls. And I wanted to get your topic on this. So I went on one yesterday. We go on. So those of you who don't know, DOA is dead on arrival. Basically, a patient has been deceased prior to arrival without any indication or anything we can do to resuscitate. And so very anticlimactic from a EMS standpoint. Tones go out. You have your fire crew, your EMS police, the whole band shows up. But then what happens?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Not much.
And we call it obvious, right? Medic so-and-so got obvious DOA. It's obvious to us. It's not obvious to the family most of the time, right? And sometimes it is, but the majority of the time, they're not clinicians. They don't know that they've passed. And it's also, we don't do a good job on normal resuscitations, pre-hospital, in the hospital, of death notification after a full resuscitation. We're not the best at it. We are abysmal when we show up pre-hospital and it's a DOA. We ghost them. If you look, it's almost comical. It's, hey, that's your brother? They're dead. What are you doing for lunch? Let's go. And then you look at the streets, it's a ghost town. Meanwhile, that whole family has been devastated and wrecked. And really, for a lot of these patients that are at the end of their life, we do, even the ones we can resuscitate, we do as much as we can. But at the end of the day, God decides, and our patient then becomes the family. And I think we should treat them as critical as a regular cardiac arrest call or any other call. It's as resource intensive. I would anticipate our crews being on scene for a little bit longer to provide care. And I'll be honest with you, I have to brag on my crews in Fort Bend County. I've been positively rewarded a couple of times lately. Whereas I was leaving and I did my piece and talking to the family, I've seen our medics holding back. And I go to grab their MDT, their computer. It's like, hey, we're going, and they say, no, I'm gonna hold back for a second. And wow, how refreshing is that to see in our workforce that people are still compassionate enough to care about the human being that they're treating and their family members. So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, that's, again, it's along the theme of these low level calls that aren't sexy, but to me, I mean, talk about value and then practicing your end of life discussions. How many opportunities does a street level medic or even a supervisor get? You know, it's the least favorite part of my job. I hate it. I do it quite a bit, unfortunately. But in the pre-hospital setting, how do you get good at it? How do you mentor that? And so I'm starting to think now, having lieutenants, supervisors, leadership even go on those calls to help mentor field crews and grow them. And like, how do you do end of life discussions? Because if you haven't been taught, you're going to do it wrong. I'd done it wrong 1,000 times before I got it right.
Sure. I agree. That does take some teaching, some developing, some learning. We look back at why any of us got into this job, and it wasn't, okay, maybe some of it was to do the cool skills.
A little bit.
Do the cool fun, right?
Yeah.
Like really neat things. But it was, for me, all right, I'll only speak for me. It was for people, right? I'm a people person. I like being with the people. And you're right. It's just a shift of perspective that we go, and this is an obvious death. That's not the person that needs us anymore. There's other people that need us. When realistically, those same people need us on every other call we go on too. There's just a varying level of need that, I cut my hand, need some stitches. It's far less intense than family member just died. But you remember George Abear? I'm going to throw his name in.
Yeah.
Some gem he left with me is that every call we go on is a psych call. Every call carries some level of emotional distress to it. And I was like, holy crap. Like we go to give you medicines and we go to cut a hole in your chest. And like, that's what we think we're going for. And George calibrated me pretty good on that one of like, we're going to provide holistic care and support. And that might involve some medicine sometimes. But how many of these patient interactions do we have that, man, like we get so desensitized to it that it's really nothing to us. We're okay, sure, no big deal.
And by the way, for the calloused ones out there that think it's all foo-foo, humanity medicine, taking care of the patient, their feelings, and their family members, it's actually science-driven. And for the patients themselves that are still alive, there's documented physiologic impacts. Every call, regardless, a psych call has a mental health component. And the psychological impact on your physiological condition is wild. Heart rate variability, respiratory rate. And think about someone that's sick and extremist, say pulmonary edema and you're short of breath. Every increase in heart demand, every increase in respiratory effort changes your outcome. And so to the ones out there that think it's just pseudoscience, it is actually real science. It turns out, being a human being actually impacts care. But to me, that's the biggest thing in our workforce. We have to care.
We do. And it takes effort, right? I mean, we have to find the balance between being so vulnerable and exposed that the things we encounter shred us to nothing. And the other end of being so hard and callous that anything we see doesn't touch us at all. Like there's got to be this middle ground with some resilience that we can be impacted, but still be capable and functional and have a place to offload that so that we can be back into the game. And that's what keeps us available, emotionally available. But to your point of mentoring, it's got to come from mentoring. Like somebody's got to show somebody how to, because we don't in school. You come out of school and we're very technically focused in school. Here's the check boxes on the procedures. Here's the, you hit the right steps. And that's just how school's kind of designed. But I think it's because how do you quantify grading you as a human now? And I give you your human score. And here you go. You're a good human. You graduate now. It is very subjective and vague and hard to standardize. So it does. It comes from mentoring. It's coming from getting the older people around there that have been in those circumstances or had those circumstances happen to them. And I know you have all the stuff you have to say on the topic of being on the other side of medicine and being a recipient. And I had nothing near as extreme as your circumstance. We were actually just talking downstairs this morning about some of my surgeries that I had. and thank God it was as low key as it was. I guess like I had parts of my spine rebuilt, which was big enough.
That's low key, just the major part of your back being rebuilt.
Easy,
Right.
easy, right?
No big deal.
But man, like the nursing staff there was amazing. Here I am terrified. The surgeon, meeting with the surgeon, the things that I said I'm scared about, what's going to happen to me when I lose ability in, because it was both cervical and lumbar. Like, so now I'm worried about walking. Can I use my arms and hug my kids anymore? I got big scared concerns. And
I want to talk about something you said about when you were doing your surgery and not being able to do things and how scared you were. I've been through multiple illnesses, and I'll say about a week and a half ago, I had another little scare. I got called in as backup to shift. I'm working busy ER shift, great patients. But I had this nagging pain. And for those of you that don't know, I was diagnosed with idiopathic pancreatitis over a year ago. Spent 3 months in the hospital in the ICU trying to die. I didn't. But anyways, I had this nagging pain, and I was pretty sure what it was. And it turns out it was an abscess, some residual junk in the back of my belly that is accumulated. And so I went from working on shift to being a patient within seconds. My wife showing up, being told I'm going to be admitted, probably have drains put back in. My head goes to, I've got a 5-month-old at home. I won't be able to get in the water with him this year. I want to miss time again. This is going to be exactly like it was before. 3 months, I was terrified. I can't think rationally. And every time it's happened, and I think it's important for two things. One, as a clinician, to remember where your patients are. You don't have to experience it to know they're terrified. They can't rationally think, no matter how intelligent, what your background is. You could be a quadruple board certified, whatever. It doesn't matter. And so leaning in and then really helping guide them and letting them know it's going to be okay in that stage, I think it's everything. And it has nothing to do with what they're actually doing in the clinical care. Thankfully, I didn't have a drain. Full story. Just on antibiotics forever.
Nice.
So God is still good. But yeah, it's a great reminder. You never know when you're gonna. It's gonna be you on the other side of the stretcher.
Yeah. And
I'll tell you what, as you know, it sucks.
It does. And we're talking about it, and to make this more reachable, it's work to get there. But man, I think we worry about, I got to say the right thing. Sometimes just shut up. Like, you don't have to talk. That was one of the easiest things, is that little old lady's scared and you hold a hand. Like, there's no more interventions to do on the way to the hospital. There's monitoring, it's making sure she's good. Hold the lady's hand, right? Like,
yeah.
She's sitting here lonely and scared. She doesn't need
my favorite intervention.
She wants to hold hands.
My favorite intervention. I'll show you. Ready? It's gonna be all right. I got you, Kevin.
I like it.
All right.
Right.
Cool. That's a checkoff skill. To me, it is. You don't have to be a hugger. I am a hugger. And there's boundaries, and you don't want to be over physically contact with family members, patients, etc. But to a patient or a patient family member, just doing this shoulder, that's appropriate. And while one, again, on the physiologic level, oxytocin, etc., it provides comfort. It actually physiologically is helping them. But on an emotional level too, that's what people want and need. That's, again, I'll harp on it all day. You won't get replaced by AI. You won't get replaced by AI, and I won't. But only if we keep the humanity in medicine, right? Because it's the same thing. My wife's a psychiatrist, right? And I'll say it again. She should have been replaced a long time ago. ChatGPT can read every DSM-5, everything. That's not what people want. People want someone to understand and another human being, and you just don't get that from a screen. So.
Nope, you don't. No, be human.
Little diatribe there, but yeah, I'll harp that to the day I die. Be human. That's the biggest thing in this business. And people talk about legacies a lot. I'm not too big on like my personal legacy, but from an organization or an industry, my personal wish is whatever I'm affiliated with, we're known for the people that cared. Might not be the best at the science or the medicine. We tried our best, but I'll be darned if we didn't know, like, no matter who came out of the back of the ambulance or in the ER bay or in the ICU, that person cared. And that's what that place was known for. And wow, what a legacy.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's talk about caring for a second, because here's going to be challenging. We're talking about the provider level of caring. And we talked about some mentoring and guiding people in there. So for supervisors, we've got some supervisors listening in. Caring isn't always making people feel great. Feedback is a gift. And sometimes it's a gift that people didn't know that they wanted or don't think that they want and want to send it back. it's all in the package and the delivery. Like, you don't get to
Mhm.
just be a jerk and be like, "Yeah, feedback's a gift. You suck." It's right, but it's the difference between I see you and you got food in your teeth, and I'm just like, "Well, that's fucking embarrassing."
Mhm.
That's embarrassing for him.
Mhm.
Or I'm like, "Hey, you got some food in your teeth, and then you can take care of this business, and now you're not out looking foolish in front of everybody else because I cared enough to have just a moment of discomfort to be like, hey, it's kind of awkward, but you got some food there I
Mhm.
need to take care of, and now we're both better off on the other side of this." Or I can choose my emotional comfort. I can know something, I can know better, and I can have an opportunity to help you, but I don't take that opportunity for my own emotional comfort, and I let you be a fool out there
Mhm.
not knowing anything any better. So as we talk about mentoring people through this, caring sometimes is having those uncomfortable conversations. And
All right, so we're talking about imposter syndrome, and how difficult it is. What do you have any tips for anybody out there? Because I hear this a lot from our paramedics, nurses, doctors when they move into the next role, and wildly confident people. And what they hear is probably what you hear. Is I got this guy Kevin. He's great for the job. He's amazing, and that's a lot of pressure. You want, especially if you actually care about your people. You are in a leadership role, and so you have this enormous pressure. You want to do right, and there's times where you don't know, am I the right one for the job? But somebody's got to do it, and we all have our ideas of who could do it better. But how do you deal with that? I'm curious.
I think first, like, it's human, like it's natural, just like you said. It's so more prevalent, so much more prevalent than we want to acknowledge, because I mean that's our own fear, so we keep quiet about it, and then everybody's kind of suffering in silence. It's real, and I think it comes from false presumptions that I'm really good. We see it, man. We do a terrible job in the fire service. We're getting so much better in the fire service, but we take a firefighter, we take a paramedic. You're really good at that job. You're phenomenal at that job. And we say, great, here's your student. Teach them.
Yep.
And then you flounder and you're like, teaching's a whole other skill set besides the skill set that you're really good at. But we expect you to be good at teaching because you're good at this skill set.
We're still rolling, and before the camera cuts out, I want to reserve the last part of the interview for anything you want to talk about. Anything Kevin's passionate about, anything that's on your mind. Or you can just ask me a question, or we can just say, we're done.
I mean, I could talk all day. Let me think here.
Or whatever's on your mind today.
Today,
What's been passionate on your mind? Like, man, really wish I could just get this message out there. People could hear this. I like using this podcast as a way for not just my voice, but obviously other people's. And, our healthcare workers, our leaders have really good voices people need to listen to. So it doesn't have to be anything earth shattering, but just a daily, something on your mind that people need to know about.
so we talk a lot about, our providers' mental health and their wellness because of the things we're exposed to and the things we see. And I think something we discount is the baseline stress. That you come through school and you're given mega code scenarios. You're like, oh, damn, like I'm going to perform here at 11. Spinal Tap reference for night kids. But then you come out and so much of the work we do isn't at 11, right? But that's what you're conditioned for. Like, damn, I'm going to get there. You get your assignment. You're ready to go. The tones drop. And you're like, yes, mega code. No. It's a twisted ankle.
Right.
Next time, yes, no. Car crash. Oh, I'm gonna go cut somebody else's car. No. They pulled into the gas station parking lot. Like they just want to be checked out, and it accumulates of this like build up, let down. We get into the science of the cortisol end of it and all of that stuff too. But you get to this point of you're like, this sucks. I want my mega code, and I think that increases the baseline stress of things. I think it takes away from our emotional availability because when you get that quote unquote mega code, now I'm not emotionally available like we had talked about, and I'm just here to epi, atropine, lidocaine on these codes since we're going in the 90s. What the hell? But
intracardiac epi.
There you go.
Crank.
And we get, but we just live in this like baseline stress with poorly calibrated expectations is really what it is. We come out of school with expecting one thing, and that is not what this industry delivers for us. It does occasionally, but having a realistic perception of that, and then just the challenge of the paradox of I have to be prepared and competent enough to function at 11 all the time, and I'm rarely expected to function at 11 all the time. You know, it's like being the kicker
Mm-hmm.
that we only need you occasionally, but man, when it's the bottom few minutes there, the fourth quarter, and we're down by 1 or 2, and we just need you to make a field goal from 60 yards, here you go. Like, that's all on you now. So now it matters. So it can't be like you got to be that good all the time because you don't know when you need to be that good,
Mm-hmm.
and that's stressful. And like I said, we come out expecting different things.
I agree. It's all about expectations.
Mhm.
Universally in healthcare, almost any job though, it's you get in with one expectation, and that's part of your job. But you can become disillusioned if your expectation is one thing and you're constantly seeing another.
Mm-hmm.
How you deal with that is different for everybody. For me, when I go on calls, and well, one, never expect anything because it's always the opposite. But two, not being there for. I've changed my mindset. You know, while the resuscitations are fun to be in sometimes, and to really, it feels like you're doing the maximum amount of care. Two things. One, the patients that aren't in cardiac arrest still deserve compassionate care.
Mm-hmm.
And how you deal with that and not get burnt out and get disillusioned is different for everyone. For me, I play detective. Belly pain has been going on for 3 years. I don't care. I am going to try to find the needle in the haystack, and 1 out of 1,000 times I do.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's rewarding to play detective, and it allows me to be, you know, engaged with the patient. And most of the time, nothing's, you know, it's just belly pain that we don't have an answer for. But every now and then,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, that's just one way of, you know, not getting crispy and not, you know, every call doesn't have to be the most exciting call. It can still be mentally stimulating and worthwhile.
Yeah.
So
We gotta keep focused on the gratitude end of it. Right. Real easy to fall into the I have to go on that call. I have to do this thing. We get to do this.
We get
to go on calls. And sometimes that can get hard when you're getting your teeth kicked in and it's number 17 or 18 and it's 4 or 5 after midnight, back to the nursing home again.
oof.
That it's hard to tell yourself, I get to go to that nursing home again. But we exist in this realm where the public implicitly trusts us. That they give us blind faith.
Mhm.
They call up a stranger and say, send me more strangers,
Mhm.
help. We get to be those people. And I like to focus on that end to kind of keep some of the gratitude and shake off the crispy that it's, man, there's a lot of have to do things, but no, like we get to be the person that somebody's counting on. Sure, I didn't get to do a bunch of skills. I got to be the comfort that somebody needed, the calming presence that somebody needed, and that changes the course of people's day and their lives. And then we kind of discount that one by focusing on what I have to do instead of what I get to be for somebody else.
You're so right. I feel sorry for myself a lot, like especially with
I feel
that.
sorry for you too.
End of life talks, etc. And you know, why me? Why do I have to be the Grim Reaper, bearer of bad news? But the flip to that is, what a privilege and honor it is to be there,
Mhm.
to be invited. And I mean, if you came to my house now, it's messy. I have strangers into my house, and I've been in homes where we're doing a cardiac arrest on the 8-year-old kid, while the other kids are in this tiny apartment, and we're working in. At the time, I was like, how awful is that? But looking back, what a privilege.
Mhm.
Another example, one of my most favorite calls this past year was actually in the ER, and it was nothing anyone would think is exciting, just a man at the end of his life passing naturally, and I was there, and I got to listen to his last heartbeat with my stethoscope as he passed. Doesn't seem like a big thing, but that heart is beating. That was, you know, heard on an ultrasound and some OB appointment, some mom heard first.
Mm.
That has went through love and marriage. That heart has beaten millions of times in his lifetime, and this poor schmuck named Joe gets to be the last one to listen. What an honor, right?
Mm-hmm.
What a freaking privilege. And so, yeah, we deal with a lot of crap, but if we're going to end on anything, it is an honor. We get to do this, and that's not forever. We're all, you know, we're going to get old one day. So, Chief Leverage, thank you for being on this podcast. We're going to have him back. I like him a little bit. Thank you for being here, and yeah, if you haven't already, follow Between Two IVs and come for our next podcast. And then if you want to work for a good fire EMS agency, I hear there's one in the Sugar Land area.
Maybe right in Sugar Land.
Maybe.